Need a little wine? Craving some tea? Well, you've come to the right place. This is a little wine and a whole lot of tea with Chastity.
Well, hello, everybody. I have missed you guys. I have definitely had a little bit of a rough last couple weeks. And here we are for your final update, probably, most likely, of the ex-boyfriend and all of those things and everything I've been going through. I know it's taken a little bit of time, but also I've kind of been going through a lot. So where we left off last was I had, found out that he was, or in fact had a baby with his ex-wife. So that was fun to unpack all of that and deal with that. And so I had also updated you guys on that I had gone to get tested for a full panel of STDs. And so at the time of me doing that episode, I had not gotten my results back. I kind of like little by little, it takes about 5 full business days to get all of your stuff back. So how it worked was you had like a link. I went to like a Quest Diagnostics because I don't have insurance. And so each day I would like obsessively like kind of go on it. And each day everything was getting marked off of like normal, negative. And so everything from like my pee test, I was getting back normal. And then probably about 4, I guess I did it on a Friday. By that following Wednesday, I was still waiting on 2 more tests, and it was like the blood tests. And so that wasn't my fave on waiting on that because it was HIV and hepatitis A and B, and then also herpes simplex 1 and 2. So I talked to my mom about haven't received results back yet, or everything, I guess. So Thursday morning, I get an email. Your results are in. Go ahead and click on your link for your final results. So I'm driving to work and I click on it. And so now, like I said, this was the end of January 30th. And I open my email and everything's like from like top to bottom. It's like normal. And then all of a sudden, I see like big, bright, like bold red letters, abnormal, high, positive. And so I actually tested positive for herpes simplex 1 and 2. Now I did not have this prior to him. Never had any issues, never had any abnormal anything. So immediately I called my mom, and she could tell I was like starting to cry, and I was like, Mom, and she said, you have herpes. And I said, yep. And it was honestly like so gut-wrenching and heartbreaking in that moment. And I just didn't know what to say, what to do. And my mom didn't know what to say. And she was just like, I'm so sorry. And, it's going to be okay. And it's crazy because we're now in March and I still get like very emotional about it. And this is why too, like I haven't really recorded a whole lot, or like just wrapping my mind around everything. I have been dealing with a lot of like health, and like we are not educated enough on this, to be honest with you. So I'm also sharing this to bring awareness, because it's not just a simple outbreak. I've been dealing with a lot of stomach viruses, because my immune system is lower. So my body is literally trying to fight a virus daily. I'm dealing with a lot of chronic fatigue. So me like going to the gym and things like that have gotten harder. I do my best. I literally just feel exhausted. It doesn't matter how much sleep I get. It doesn't matter what I do. I just genuinely inside feel very tired. I literally went down a rabbit hole of just trying to figure out like, what does this mean? So for those of you who don't know, this is something that you don't get rid of. You have it forever. I read that the longer you have it, the less contagious you are. It is treatable, but it is not curable currently. And I don't know if I'll really, my mom and I have been doing research on that too. And a lot of the vaccines and stuff that they have or that they're trying to come up with, they're putting that mRNA in it. And, that can cause like heart issues. And so I would rather not deal with that. So as soon as I found this out, I went on this immediate, like 4-day, like manic, like revenge, like angry and just pissed. And so I actually called his sergeant and his captain and made them aware of the situation because technically he was engaging in a relationship while his divorce was not finalized. And so I actually talked with them for a little while until they stopped talking with me, which, military is military. And I think that they were advised. I also had a really good client who is actually more of a friend than a client. Her husband called on my behalf because he's ex-military and basically let them know like, this is not okay. And like, kind of went to bat for me, which was amazing. I don't really know what the results of that are. Like I said, he stopped engaging, the captain, and from what I'm told is probably because he was advised to not talk to me anymore. I contacted a civil lawyer because for those of you who also don't know, it is illegal to give somebody an STD and not disclose it. Now, my guess is, I can't say for sure whether he knew, but let's be real, we all know when something's wrong with our body. I had not been blocked this entire time, and the minute I told him I was getting tested, I was blocked. So that tells me he probably had some sort of idea. I have not spoken to him since January 31st. He called me that next day and basically was upset because I then posted him on these dating groups on Facebook because now I felt like I had to do, it was my responsibility now to be the adult in the situation. And so I went and let everybody know that now I did post anonymously, but at this point I'm just like, I don't even care. Like at the end of the day, like I did nothing wrong. I was not sleeping around. I was not being unsafe with all these people. Like I very much trusted this person at this point in our relationship. And we had talked about STDs and testing and all of that. And so now moving forward, I'm like, nope, I want to see fucking proof. I want to see papers. Like, I don't care about anybody's word. Like, I don't even know how I trust somebody after this, to be quite honest with you. I'm struggling with a lot of that. And so for me, I posted on there anonymously, letting everybody know. And what is funny is I also found out during this that he actually had met a girl 3 weeks prior to breaking up with me, which I had already had that feeling. So now it just solidified like, dude, my fucking gut was right. That intuition, bitch, don't ignore her. She fucking tells you every time. And so the funny thing about that is the girl that he met is married. So I let her friend know because that's how I found out about her. And the married girl actually blocked me from her husband's Facebook where I could not see. Now, I already know who her husband is. I figured it out. I actually reached out to her husband's cousin to let her know that, hey, your cousin should probably be aware that like his wife is cheating on him with somebody who I had to use the words potentially has an STD because, can't accuse somebody if you don't really know, blah, 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 whatever. So that was part of my little like manic 4-day like pissed off. But you know what? That married girl had the audacity to troll my post. And basically, he convinced her that I am making it up. I do not have anything. I'm lying and that I'm upset because he no longer wants to be with me. And I'm trying to get back at him for that. And I'm like, you know what? Never in my life. Like, I mean, there's crazy people. Obviously, his ex-wife faked a pregnancy for 8 months prior to her even actually really getting pregnant, which is wild. But never in my life have I heard of somebody going around spreading STD awareness and then also saying that they got something that they actually never got. Like, never in my life have I ever heard of that. But whatever, go off. Like, okay. So that girl tried to do that. He kind of went a little MIA, I guess, from the bar scene, which, long behold, because you can't delete. So in this group, you cannot delete your post. So that shit is there. If you delete your post, they will block you from the group. So what was it? I think a week ago, somebody commented on there that he was back on his shit, back at the bar, back with all these females. Actually was there with the married chick. And I was like, dude, she's such a trash bag. Like, I can't. And so, like, clearly he does not care. He has zero self-awareness. He doesn't even have human decency, really, at this point. So he called me that next day and doubled down on his bitch assness, really, and his douchebagness also. And so I answer and I'm like, I'm assuming you know. And he was like, well, I know that you talked to my captain and my sergeant. Like, I'm headed into work right now. Mind you, he was on paternity leave for the baby that he supposedly didn't have. And I said, yeah, well, I tested positive for herpes. And he said, well, I don't know what you've been doing since we broke up. And I said, well, first of all, I know what I've been doing and it's nothing. I was literally depressed for the first like 3 months. I didn't even go. Here's the thing, guys. I didn't even go and get tested because I had an outbreak or symptoms that I was aware of. I went because I found out what he was doing. So then I actually had norovirus. And so the biggest thing with this virus is stress and sickness are the biggest triggers for it. So I was very much having a full-on outbreak at that point. It was one of the most painful things. From what I'm told is it could be as painful as shingles, and it's actually in the same family as shingles. And it was just inflammation. It was inflamed. I woke up in the middle of the night just aching and just awful. I am now taking, it's called lysine. I take that twice a day. I will have to continue to take that. I also am doing a daily wash that I use, which has lysine in it. And then I also have an ointment. So if I do have an outbreak, which at that point I did, so I did take it. And within 24 hours, it was immediate. I felt so much better. But I kind of felt gross. Like, I felt like I needed to shower all the time. I don't know. I don't know. So basically he wanted to insult me. Then he wanted to say, I don't know why you're even talking to people. Why are you going around reaching out to people? I'm like, because somebody has to be an adult about this and they should be aware of what's happening. And he claimed that he had a negative test the month prior. I had also spoke to his sergeant, and his sergeant told me that they actually, during their yearly physicals that they all get, that all the soldiers get, they do not test for that. They only test for HIV because that's life-threatening. Now, there are free STD clinics on base, and I know this also because another guy had like messaged me on like Facebook dating app or whatever. Same base station there. I ended up having to tell him what was going on, and he gets tested all the time. And it's like, yeah, you just walk in, like it's free. So basically I told David, I said, you know, if you like go and get tested and you can show me a negative test, I'll leave it alone. I'll drop it. And stayed silent, didn't say anything. And then he's like, well, I've never had an outbreak. Now, what I've also learned is most men don't have actual outbreaks. Most of them are asymptomatic. That's what's wild about this whole virus. And women mainly have the outbreaks because we are more susceptible to bacteria. So, also, 90% of people that have it don't even know they have it. 1 in 4 people have this. So for me, like, I guess you could say like, oh, it's gross or it's this or it's that. But like I said, most of my symptoms, like I did have my first actual outbreak, and they say the first is your worst. After that, like I've had, because I just have stress due to number one, it was stressing me out. I have stuff with my ex-husband, that's stressful. My child, she was struggling in school, that was stressful. My job is stressful. Like I just have a lot. And so I try really hard to like not stress out, but I've had, different, like one of my main symptoms. So now I know I was having symptoms back in November, but I had no clue that that's what was happening. The biggest one that I had was soreness in my groin. So like where it felt bruised. And I just thought like, oh, I probably heard it at the gym, or like I hit a counter because I'm super clumsy. But no, now I know that was the start of it. Since then, I've been having all kinds of different things. Mainly the chronic fatigue is the worst. So basically, when I talked to him and told him like all these things, like he had zero accountability, wouldn't even admit that he had a baby. That's what was wild to me. Like, how are you not going to admit that you have a baby? Like, that is a human. And basically wanted to tell me that I needed to stop calling his captain. I needed to stop calling his sergeant. They told him, this is what he said, they told him that I needed to back off. I needed to let it go. And I said, okay, well, I'll go ahead and contact your captain as soon as I get off the phone. So I did. Now, like I said, as far as I'm concerned, I have no idea. He still has his job. I don't know if he got in trouble. They do not communicate any of that with you. So as far as what I know, I don't even think anything even happened to him, especially if he's back at the fucking bars, doesn't even care. I even told his captain, if he won't even show proof to me, the person that he was dating, what makes you think he's going to go and tell anybody else? And that married girl said what she said. So she's not even going to go get herself tested. He convinced her of whatever. And I'm like, you guys are so fucking ridiculous. I wanted to so badly go up to his house and just, honest to God, beat the shit out of him. I don't think I've ever wanted to cause another human so much pain, because he has forever changed my life in so many negative aspects. And so now this is something that I have to deal with forever. And you know, people want to act like it's not a big deal, but it is. I now have to, obviously I can have tough conversations. I'm not uncomfortable about having tough conversations. The hardest part for me right now is dealing with my health and making sure that that's okay. Also, if I ever decide to put myself back out there in a serious manner, I have to get used to rejection over something that was done to me. And that's hard because to get rejected over something like that sucks. And so that's the new normal. I tried to seek justice for myself. I don't regret any length that I did. When I talked to a civil lawyer, basically he said, you have a case. I don't want you to think you don't have a case, but unfortunately he has nothing that we can go after. He has no money. He has no assets. So there's nothing we can do. Because basically what we were going to try and go after was for my medical and future medical to get paid for, because I don't have an insurance. Now I have to get checked every 6 months to a year to make sure that I do not have cervical cancer, because now I'm at a higher risk for cervical cancer when you have this. And just making sure everything's good. So there's a lot of things that come with this. I then was advised to file a police report, so I did. Then the lawyer said I would contact your local district attorney. Now, I went to church that Sunday, and I just was like, you know what, I'm going to pray on this. I'm going to sit on this. I'm going to see how I feel. And I never took that step, because that day when I was at church, I can't remember the story specifically, but it was basically one of the guys, he was trying to seek justice his own way versus allowing those people to receive their justice God's way. And he was going around cutting people's ears off. And Jesus told him, you can't do that. Like, it's not your choice on how these people seek, like how they get their consequences for whatever their behavior was. And so I sat there and I listened. And even though I do feel like you have to put things in motion sometimes, but at the end of the day, you put it out there, and how the cards lay is how the cards lay. And every single thing that I was trying to do to make sure that he was held accountable, blocked. And even my mom had to say, you know what, Chas, like, this might not be his time, which makes me so angry. And I understand, and I have to trust in the fact that this is how things are supposed to go. And I even went to church. I don't go every Sunday, but most Sundays I do. And a couple Sundays ago, I had so many epiphanies. And I called my mom and I said, you know, I was at church and I had this big epiphany about the situation. And even though I know I'm not being punished, I know that. I know that this is my consequence for engaging in a relationship that I never should have engaged in the first place. And when I look back at all the stories that I've shared with you guys, and yes, it's crazy, and yes, it's entertainment, and yes, some of it's funny, but I feel like I was still not listening, and I was continuing on a journey that I never should have continued on. And God kept putting up these roadblocks. Chas, pay attention. Chas, pay attention. Chas, pay attention. And just like I said in one of my last episodes, that baby that he had was his karma, because now he's stuck with that troll of an ex-wife. But that baby was my blessing. And even though I still ended up with a lifelong health concern, issue, whatever you want to call it, virus, that was my consequence I feel for just not, because here's the thing, at the beginning of that relationship, when I found out he wasn't as ahead of the divorce as I was, I even said, you know what, no, like we could be friends, but I'm not going to engage in that way. And the problem is, and for those of you who don't like, you know, maybe if you're a non-believer or you're not quite sure, sorry if this conversation triggers you, but I truly feel that, you know, the devil tries to get you at any cost. And I even read this quote. It was a few days after, and it said, "The devil couldn't get to me, so he sent me someone I fell in love with who broke my heart into a million pieces." And the devil is disguised in a lot of different ways. And it sucks that I allowed this person, because I truly feel like David was the devil in disguise. And I truly believe that. And I'll even explain another story that happened to me when I was with him. But I feel that had I not allowed the loneliness that I felt in my marriage, open myself up, like I was so susceptible to his, like how he behaved, how he moved, because I was so lonely for so long. And I felt like this person loved me and saw me and wanted to be with me and enjoyed me and just sucked me in. Had I not allowed that, but you know, even my mom and I have friends that they say, Chas, like you need to give yourself grace. You've gone through a lot. You've dealt with a lot. I've also grown a lot. What's wild when I say that he was the devil in disguise, and I truly believe that. We had gone out one night in Nashville, and we'd met one of my friends, and we'd had some drinks, and then we went to this other bar that we really loved because they played like 90s, 2000s hip hop, Spanish music. Like it's fun. It's like an underground speakeasy type thing, but it's like a Spanish bar, or kind of, I guess. So we go. We just want to dance. We go, we dance. And here's the crazy part. This day, I had actually made an appointment for both of us to go get a Reiki session. That's what's wild about this whole thing is we go and do a Reiki session. And so it's like, you know, you kind of open up those gates of like your spirit guides, your angels, whatever you want to call them, right? Some people think it's all woo-woo and bad and whatever. I don't agree. I don't believe that. At least with who I go to. I think you need to be very cautious. So we go to this bar and we're on the dance floor, and this older Latin man, gay, goes, come. And they have bottle service, whatever. So then his other friend comes over. Very good looking. Also another gay man. So I'm talking with him. We're talking about all kinds of stuff. David's talking to the other guy. And I all of a sudden just got like a weird vibe. Now I had been drinking, I was drunk, and I was like, oh, it's getting late. We got to go let the dog out, whatever. And I don't know. I just felt like something was weird and I can't explain it. And I really wish that night I wouldn't have been as drunk as I was, because then I could kind of remember a little bit more. But I just remember just feeling like we need to leave. So I go, hey, like, let's go. He was like, okay. Well, as we're walking away, the Latin dude grabs me kind of aggressively. And I look at him, I'm like, what are you doing? And he whispers in my ear and says, you need to get away from him. He is the devil. And I didn't tell anybody this story until now. I shared that with my mom, and she just looked at me and she was like, Chastity. And I said, I know. And it sat with me. But here's the thing is there was a lot of drinking going on. That guy was drunk. I was drunk. I mean, would anybody take that serious? I don't know. And in that moment, I mean, it sat with me. I thought about it. And I just said, oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. Because I didn't even know this guy. And I said, what? And he said, you need to get away from him. He is the devil. And I just walked away. And David goes, what did he say? What did he say? And I said, oh, nothing. He's drunk. He's drunk. I wasn't even going to repeat it. And he goes, no, what did he say? And I said, well, he told me to stay away from you, that you're the devil. And he just looked at me and I said, he's drunk. It's fine, whatever. And I just keep thinking about that moment and just like, what if I would have listened? Like, you know, we can what if all day long, right? Any situation, we have all these things. And I just feel like, I don't know, was that like my angel, my spirit guide, like trying to warn me? And what's even crazier is like we literally had done that Reiki session earlier that day. So I just always think about that. And, you know, what's really sad, I feel like, about this whole thing is David had the opportunity when he called me that day to show some type of integrity, human decency. He could even have said, you know, I don't even know if I have it. Let me go get tested. And if I do, I am so sorry. And he couldn't even do that. Couldn't even fake an apology. Couldn't even like, I think he's convinced himself that he's done nothing wrong. I mean, nothing. And it's just one of my last words to him was, you are the most disappointing human I have ever met in my entire life. And I feel really sad for that little girl that she has to call you her dad. And I mean every single word of that. I think that he is a disgusting human. I think he is a sad human. And I feel very sorry for his family and his mom because they all know. I reached out to his sister and I told his sister everything, and I sent his sister my test results so that they know that I'm not lying. Now, if he wants to twist that, turn that, you can do whatever. I doctored it, blah, 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 whatever he wants to say. But they can look it up if they want to. I mean, it says everything on there. I have no respect. And, you know, maybe one day he'll take accountability. Doubt it. All I know is that karma is going to be ugly for sure for him. And I don't think that I have ever wished bad on somebody as much as I do for him. Because like I said, my life has changed forever. My health has changed forever. My daily has changed forever. And, you know, I had a session with my therapist the day that I found out, and my therapist said to me, how does Chastity heal? And I said, I don't know. How does somebody heal from something that they now live with for the rest of their life? And that they now have to relive this person every time I have to tell somebody that I have this. I don't know. I don't really have that answer. I continue to talk about it. I have dark humor at times. I actually haven't really cried about it as much as right now. I think I have my moments. I'm very frustrated right now because I don't feel good. And so that's hard. And I wish I could go back and make some different decisions. And I know that my life is not over. I know it's just a bump in the road, but it's a shitty bump. And, you know, I look back and everything that could possibly go wrong in a relationship, I had all in one. I definitely think that this should be talked about more. When I went onto Facebook and anonymously wanted to find out about lawyers who deal with these specific things, it was wild to me. Humanity and how disgusting people are. Nobody knows the context. Nobody knows the story. And you know how many people commented on there and said, this is what happens when you don't close your legs. This is what happens when you do this, when you do that. And you know what? The ones who were commenting that were grown women, over 40. And I think it's crazy because when I started to share this with clients, I have a handful who have it. And they expressed what they've gone through. They've felt comfortable enough to talk about it with me because there's such a stigma behind it. Like, not that I would feel better like that if I was sleeping around and that's why I got it. Like, I don't think anybody feels good about it. But just the fact that I trusted somebody that I never should have trusted, that is the part that frustrates me the most. My first immediate thought when I read that email was, wow, I always joke like I'm going to end up alone. And in that moment, I truly felt that. I felt like I've put this out in the universe of me being alone forever. Because I know that if somebody came to me and said that they had this, I know that I wouldn't date them. And now I'm that person. And that's how I felt. Do I believe that? 50-50 right now. I just think that I am just trying to stay positive and stay healthy. And all the cliche things, really, you guys, they don't help. I think we all have to go through our things the way that we go through it. And that's why it's also taking me a little bit of time to come on here and give you all an update. It is a vulnerable situation. Like I said, I don't have a problem having open and honest conversations. But man, it's hard. This is hard. I don't feel great. I feel also embarrassed. Now, I did join a group called Positive Singles, and I think it's like really ultimately like a dating app for people with an STD. So I've talked to a few people on there, and it's crazy because you still get all these people who just want to sleep around and this and that. And I do not feel confident in that way in any, to be honest with you, because I don't even know what's happening down there. I'm like, I need to figure out my body. I need to figure out what's happening, what's going on. And you just feel whatever. Also, for very obvious reasons, I'm a little jaded. And even when somebody compliments me or you have guys who just come on so strong, I'm like, ugh, you can stop because it's really doing nothing for me. If you want to tell me I'm beautiful, this and that, thank you. Moving on. I just don't care. And so I just think that what I can do now is, for those of you, if I'm going to read off some things that I have learned that can help. So for any of you who possibly might have this or you don't know, now let me tell you this. If you go and get tested, you specifically have to ask for herpes because it's not a swab, it is a blood test. And like I said, a lot of people are asymptomatic and they do not ever even have an outbreak. And you can still give it to people even if you don't have an outbreak. That's the wild thing. So there's just a lot of things. So one of my clients had sent me this doctor on Instagram, and she specifically talks about these viral, they're basically chronic viruses. So Epstein-Barr virus, which it could also be considered mono, herpes 1 and 2, like these are things that can help. The biggest two that she talks about is lysine, which is what I've been taking. So lysine inhibits the amino acids that is required for viral replication. This helps to suppress viral outbreaks. The other combo that is supposed to be really good is monolaurin. So you would take lysine with monolaurin. Then monolaurin is typically found in coconut oil and breast milk. It has been researched for its role in combating chronic viruses like Epstein-Barr, herpes 1 and 2, and COVID. What makes monolaurin so special is its ability to disrupt the viral envelope, damaging the virus and inhibiting the ability of the virus to enter and infect cells. The other thing is medicinal mushrooms, which the brand that I bought, it's by this company called Laird, Laird, and it has different kinds of mushrooms in it. I think it's called like performance mushrooms, and it's just in a powder form. So these are supposed to be antioxidants that help support a healthy immune response and ensure the immune system doesn't get worn out when fighting a chronic viral infection, which is what I'm dealing with currently. I'm telling you, the fatigue has been the roughest. The other one is astragalus. Not sure if I said that right. It stimulates the specific immune cells responsible for identifying and neutralizing viral infected cells. This reduces flares and reactivation. Then the last thing is called beta-glucans. This strengthens immune cells like B cells, T cells, and natural killer cells to help the body, and viruses provides immune support to not exhaust. So I'm actually starting this. I ordered everything, or my mom did for me, actually. Love her. She's an angel. But I'm going to be starting this, and in hopes, I mean, the lysine has helped, but I'm hoping with all of this other stuff, it'll help like combat the chronic fatigue. So, that's my new journey. That's what I have to deal with. I just really hope and pray that things can get better. I haven't seen the light yet. I get a lot of good feedback from my friends on like, I'm so proud of you for speaking your truth and speaking your piece. And, it's been this has been a good outlet as well. And I'm just hoping that maybe I could help somebody else feel better. Maybe. And I think that the stigma needs to be stopped about this, because there's so many people who have it, and it's not, you didn't get it because you're a whore or whatever. I mean, some people maybe have, but I think that we all need to be smart. I think that it needs to become a more comfortable conversation about when you meet people and when you're dating, is to have questions about STDs. I think that everyone should show proof that you don't have anything. I mean, to me, it's like, why does anybody get offended, or why does anybody feel uncomfortable? It's like, we need to talk about this. So the last thing that I want to leave you guys, because this has really helped me in just things of like writing stuff down, sending that last text message, sending that last email, like whatever that looks like. And I had a rough week last week, and I was just very emotional because I was frustrated because I'm just feel so exhausted, and I didn't have this issue, and I'm just frustrated. So I sent this email to David, and these are basically this was my final words. Since I was blocked, I emailed it. And I'm going to read it to you guys. So it says, David, I am writing this to you in hopes that you truly understand how you have affected my life forever. I wish that day you called me would have been you taking accountability for your behavior in the relationship we had. I 1000% trusted you when you proved I never should have. You could never own up to any wrongdoing and constantly told me how well you treated me. Yet you failed to let me know all the wrong you were doing behind my back. Receiving the confirmation that you were not the person I thought you were was so devastating and heartbreaking. I never in my life thought that I would love someone who truly never cared about me. I just think, how could you not care about someone's well-being or health that you supposedly wanted to marry? This positive herpes result is not just a topical outbreak from time to time. I have struggled with chronic fatigue, getting stomach viruses every month since December, and will continue to be affected due to immune system being lower now. I will now have to get checked every 6 to 12 months to make sure that I don't have cervical cancer. This virus causes your body to fight a virus daily, which causes a domino effect for other things. I now have to take 5 different supplements daily in hopes it can help my immune system to not be so shot and try and prevent any future outbreaks, while also having to pay out of pocket because I don't have health insurance. I never deserved any of this, especially when I was so kind and genuine to you during our relationship. I know that I will never receive an apology from you because that would mean that you have to admit to doing something wrong, and I think you have convinced yourself you have not. Maybe one day you will take accountability and truly realize that you 1000% ruined somebody's life for your own selfish wants. For that, I pray that you truly look at yourself in the mirror and make the necessary changes that one day you could be proud of that person staring back at you. Because Lord knows the ones who mean the most to you can't say they are proud of the man they see. All I know is I have hope in the fact that the Lord will soften my heart and release the hatred I have for you one day. And just maybe I will get the accountability that I much deserve on your end. I hope that you truly sit and think about what you did to me, what you have done to me, and how it affects me moving forward. My child now no longer has a healthy mom, and she has to thank you for that. I hope it was all worth it for you. I'm going to leave you with this. Sooner or later, everyone sits down to a banquet of consequences, said by RLS. Sincerely, Chastity Samardzis, aka the bitch you will never forget. And with that being said, I am you. I hear you. I feel you. I see you. And that's my tea. So, till next time, pinkies up, guys.
Well, that's the tea, besties. Pinkies up!